Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to episode 12 of the Rollout Show, otherwise known as episode 12.
You're so white.
12. Is that better?
No.
You know, people didn't know what race I was or nationality until you said that.
They knew. They
probably knew.
Yeah, they definitely.
Probably
we're white. We drink Starbucks like every other show.
That's not just a white thing.
You're right. It's a white girl thing.
That's right.
Oh God.
No, I'm on the inside. I'm an inner white girl. Except I'm not. Oh man.
That was pretty good.
Thank you.
All right. Can we
See,
move
I can
on,
be funny.
please? For the love of God.
Let's move on. So anyway, hey, welcome to the show. We like to keep it casual around here. We're not big wigs at ESPN or nothing. Also, shout out to Cannell if you'd like to join us on the podcast. We love you. Please, Danny.
We understand you're looking for work. We can't pay, but we would love to have you on.
We would really love to have you on. For real. Like, after I met you, I became a huge fan. You're like the nicest dude ever. Like, just straight up. It's real talk.
So reach out to us at The Rollout Show. That's at The Rollout Show.
On Twitter. And just be sure to interact with us. And, we'll try to get something going, Mr. Cannell. I may even, say nice things about Florida State for a change.
Wow. That's quite the step.
I know.
I mean, Dalvin Cook's good.
He went in the draft.
Disagree? Agree or disagree?
That Dalvin Cook is good? He's good.
Okay, that's something nice about Florida State.
Yeah, hey, woo! You know what? They fill that stadium every game. I mean, the sobriety of the people filling that stadium is up for debate.
Well, isn't that all of college football in the Southeast?
Yeah, but it's called Tallahassee for a reason, though.
It's pretty good. I've never heard that before.
Never heard that?
No.
Oh, it's great.
I don't do much in the northern Florida parts. Tallahassee?
Tallahassee, dude.
Well,
it kind of earns that reputation.
You learn something new every day.
That's right. That's what we do here on the Rollout Show. We try to entertain, inform, and teach.
Shaka bra.
Antetokounmpo.
You messed up the last one.
Yeah, I did. It sounded good, though, with the whole, inflection in my voice. It sounded really...
Tell the people what we're going to talk about today.
What we are going to talk about today on the agenda, we have a hard-hitting discussion about LeVar Ball.
Woo!
Yeah. We are going to get into the debate of Boston versus Baltimore. A lot of tensions rising over in the Northeast there, up at Fenway.
Rob Manfred needs to do something about it.
Step in!
Please don't ever pound anything ever again.
You know, Fizdale is my boy, and I just want to be like Fizz.
Take that for data.
Take that for data. That one was better. Anyway, we're going to get into the NBA playoffs, because that's something that's going on right now and very interesting.
Same topic we've talked about for the last month, because the NBA playoffs go on
forever. That's right. We're going to get into a little, topic on one particular team that's been eliminated. We also have a...
Just ignore that.
Have a guest appearance by our intern, Lucy, here.
Lucy, no toys. No toys, Lucy.
Lucy, bring me some coffee.
Lucy's my dog. We don't really have interns.
We don't have that high of a budget yet. Anyway, we're also going to get into Jay Cutler because he made an interesting career move this past week.
Extremely interesting. I was shocked.
You were shocked?
Stay tuned to find out what.
On this episode of The Rollout Show. And of course, we're going to give it to you straight. Some funky news from down south in freaky Florida with
Florida man.
Boom Shakalaka. Alright, so you ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Alright, so Bradley, on our favorite of radio programming, we had a brilliant guest appearance that I didn't get to hear all of, but you did. It was an interview with none other than Mr. Big Baller, the baddest brother alive, as he says. LeVar Ball.
Yeah, LeVar Ball was on for a pretty extended interview with the Levitard Show this week. And I have been overall pretty negative on LeVar Ball. I've found him to be big-mouthed, ridiculous, and taking advantage of his kids is what it seems like was happening with this whole big baller brand and making Lonzo not sign an endorsement deal that it's been said was about $2 million a year for 5 years. That's $10 million he made his kid give up. Of course, Lonzo Ball, his son, is a man. He's 19 years old. He can make his own choices, but it feels like LeVar is very controlling over this whole thing. And then the Le Batard show asked him a question I had previously assumed the answer of, which was how much of the proceeds from Lonzo's shoe is going to Lonzo, which LeVar said 100%. And that
awesome.
right there made me completely change my mind on LeVar, because I've always seen him as he wants to build this brand. He's using these kids to build his own company. But when he said Lonzo 100% designed the shoe, which is an awesome looking shoe, by the way.
It's a great looking shoe.
I like it a lot. I wish he would design a shoe for Steph Curry.
Come on.
Because Steph Curry's shoes are awful.
Oh.
Not awful, aggressively mediocre.
Especially for the price.
Cheaper than Lonzo's shoes.
Cheaper than Lonzo's,
which
but
is $495. Which
at least Lonzo's look good.
The price is another discussion. But just LeVar himself, that one question, because I'd always assumed like LeVar had his kids as like endorsed athletes, where Lonzo was making a cut. He was making some money, but really the money was going to LeVar, which is why I had such a big problem. But when he said, no, this is my boy's shoe, he's getting all the money, it's his, I was like, wow, I was not expecting to hear that. And I went from negative to fairly positive on LeVar really quickly. There's still a bunch of stuff he does that I don't like the high school coach stuff, calling out the white players on UCLA when his son got torched.
By De'Aaron Fox.
Oh my gosh. And this is a big gamble. It's a big gamble on Lonzo being successful, but I'm overall pretty positive on LeVar now.
See, that's the thing. I think it's honestly worth the risk, because, especially in Lonzo's case, because otherwise, if he signed with like Nike or whatever, he's just, another Nike athlete. Whereas this is a thing where he could have full control of everything he's doing. Creative control. He gets the proceeds. He has a big say, and it's already setting him up for after basketball compared to, you have to be tied to whatever Nike wants to do. I mean, look at what happened with Nike and Steph Curry. I mean, they gave the same pitch they gave to Kevin Durant, and we're calling him Steven. Come on.
Well, and to be fair, there's risk here. I mean,
oh yeah, definitely.
If Lonzo sucks, he cost himself $10 million in endorsements. They may make some money with these shoes, but it won't be near that. And now you have the whole, your father is in charge of this company. You don't have so-called industry experts to kind of guide the business, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Yeah. I mean, the good thing is you don't have all of these bigwig corporations making decisions for you and that sort of thing. But there's also something to saying, yeah, Nike has been extremely successful, and there's a reason why. They're very good at what they do.
Absolutely.
Same thing with Under Armour and Adidas, but to a lesser extent. So I think there's good and bad here, but I love that someone's finally trying this. Shake up a little bit of this athletic apparel industry, because competition's always good, and like seeing the up and comers. Everyone likes an underdog.
And also because of LeVar and how outspoken he is, I think they're going to have like a very devout kind of fan base here. Because I know after listening to him on Le Batard's show, he's really funny.
He's extremely charismatic.
I always thought he was funny, but and I knew he was kind of playing it up, just to kind of get more attention and everything. But like him on there, he was just like fit in well with the show. It was like
him
funny.
On First Take made me like him way less, because he just seemed overbearing and ridiculous. But on the Levitard show, he was much more relaxed. He was cracking jokes. It was great.
It's more of his style, what he wants, not just where Stephen A. Smith has, like, 7 different vocabulary words for excellent or something.
Well, it's the platform. It's obvious that LeVar knows the platforms he's going on. So he goes on First Take, which is this big debate show yelling at each other, strong, ridiculous opinions, and that's what he did. He goes on the Levitard show, which is a more relaxed, joking sort of show, and he's very funny. He's very charismatic. He really impressed me. And there's still, like I said, a bunch of stuff that he's done that I objectively don't like.
Right.
He's made plenty of mistakes, but just in regards to this Big Baller Brands, which is a horrible name in my opinion, and their logo is atrocious. The shoe,
I think that's part of it.
the Big Baller Brand logo is a joke. Have you seen it?
Oh, I've seen it. I actually kind of want one of the shirts.
Oh no, it's horrible.
I want one of the shoes, but I don't have the money for that.
The Zoe symbol is pretty good. The circle, the O with the Z outlined in a different color, that's pretty good.
That's pretty cool.
The shoe's great. And here's the thing, yeah, $4.95 is ridiculous, and they probably won't sell a ton just because of the price. But if they bring that, if Lonzo's good, if he's an all-star type of player, wins Rookie of the Year, stuff like that, if the shoes keep looking good, and they bring the price down a little bit, I don't see any reason why this couldn't be successful. I mean, in all honesty, I'm not a big sneaker guy. I don't look at a bunch, but this is they're cool. I would own them.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't pay $500 for them, and I think $220 for flip flops is just ridiculous. But the sneakers, they look good.
I think they look good as well. And then also touching on something we were talking about before we started recording was the whole, if everything is just online ordering and they're only making what they sell, then that's a great move.
Well, that's a great way to start. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because then you're making them to order. The downside to that is it takes 6 months to make. There's a reason why the bigger companies that know there's going to be some sort of demand for the shoe don't do that, because they want to sell them right away. Otherwise, people forget about them and then don't want them anymore. Start canceling their pre-orders or whatever. And
well to some degree, because some sneakerheads and stuff wait months and months and pre-order Jordans.
Oh yeah, but just the general. For example, the Steph Currys aren't marketed towards the sneaker buffs. Those are marketed towards kids and people who play basketball. They're a little bit cheaper. They feature a really popular athlete with the younger kids. So it just depends on what's your target demographic and what sort of business capabilities you have. But yeah, I ranted on LeVar Ball for a while there, but
it worked well. I mean,
we've talked about him on previous episodes, and we were both moderately negative. I am much more pro Big Baller now.
Oh, are you a big baller now?
I mean, I'm not, because I'm not going to buy any merchandise. But I'm rooting for them to succeed.
I kind of am too.
And Lonzo seems like a good kid anyway, so I want him to be good. I actually think he won't be.
I'm kind of agree with you.
He's not. He plays point guard in a day where, in my opinion, this is the most talented point guard NBA that we've ever seen. There are so many future Hall of Famer point guards playing right now.
It's a guards league.
The fact that Damian Lillard and Mike Conley can't consistently make All-Star games tells you how many great point guards there are.
Oh yeah, because most teams would have Mike Conley or Damian Lillard on their team today.
And there's just a ton of great point guards, and most of them are extremely athletic. And the only time we've seen Lonzo go up against someone more athletic than him, he got crushed in that Kentucky game.
Well, because De'Aaron Fox, the main knock on him is he doesn't have a shot.
But he's super athletic.
Right.
So, which is how, I mean, Kyrie, Lillard, Kyle Lowry, Steph Curry, CP3 to some extent, Russell Westbrook,
Westbrook,
John Wall, James Harden. All these guys are ridiculously athletic.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Well, he plays forward, but
he plays whatever position on the floor he wants to play.
Yeah. But I'm worried.
Oh, and John Wall.
Him. I said John Wall.
Okay.
I would never forget about my boy John Wall.
Your new boy John Wall. I had to get you on that Wall bandwagon.
I don't think so.
You were calling me ridiculous for trying to give John Wall MVP conversation.
That is ridiculous. I still agree that that's ridiculous. Also, you trying to drink water with that mic in front of your face is ridiculous.
We made it work, boys. We made it work.
John Wall shouldn't have been in MVP discussion this year. John Wall would have been 5th in my MVP voting.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I was probably going to put him, but I say he should be in there.
Well, 5th at like 0% of the votes.
5th as in he's in the top 5 discussion.
I guess. Sure. Whatever.
John Wall,
anyway,
LeBron James.
Lonzo seems like a good kid, and I'm rooting for him. I especially worry that this big baller brand is contingent on all 3 brothers being really good, and Lonzo's the best of all 3, and I don't think he can play. That's a problem. This will just crash and burn, and we'll forget it ever happened if that sort of thing happens.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see how his younger brothers develop and everything, because they still have time to grow. I mean, they're super young.
Oh yeah. But generally, like, they're not super. They're in high school.
Yeah.
So
and one's going to UCLA next season.
Yeah, the athleticism that they have is the athleticism that they're going to have. So if they're a slower, more deliberate player like Lonzo, then they may be in the same boat. I don't know. It's not like I've watched them play high school. We'll see next year. Either this will end up being something historic, a shakeup in the industry, where the small guy was able to carve himself out a little niche on this athletic apparel industry, or this will be over in a few years. They'll still have the website. They'll sell like 15 shoes a year, and they'll be an afterthought, which is probably going to happen. But we'll see.
See. Another thing I love that they did is the video with Lil Dicky Ball. Lil Dicky Ball, if you hadn't seen that, the Forgotten Ball brother. It's very, very good. So we'll post that on Twitter. Have you seen that yet?
I've not.
It's Little Dicky as the forgotten older Ball brother.
Oh my gosh.
It's great.
Is it funny?
Oh, it's okay. Solid.
All right.
It stars the whole family.
We'll watch that later.
It's great. It's great. Anyway, so now let's do a complete 180 and go to serious topic. This junk that's happening in Boston between the Red Sox and the Orioles.
We've talked about this before. Before we jump into any sort of race discussion, if we're going to have that, I don't know, you're the host, you lead us there if you want. But we've talked about how baseball's stupid before. How Manny Machado gives a clean but hard slide into second base, and this has turned into 100-mile-an-hour rocks being thrown at him.
Well, and that's not even his fault, and that wasn't, I mean, I'm not going to say 100%, but it doesn't seem like Pedroia was that upset about it.
I don't believe that. Dustin Pedroia is the leader in that clubhouse.
Yeah, he could have stopped it if he wanted to, but it does seem like it's all coming down from Farrell because, I mean, the whole Chris Sale, that pitch slipped when it was, 99 miles an hour behind somebody's back when Chris Sale had 14 strikeouts that day. Like, Chris Sale knows where it's going. Exactly. And then you get the whole situation with Kevin Gausman where a curveball slips and everybody knows that the curveball slipped. Like, anybody who's basically seen baseball could tell that's what it was, because if Kevin Gausman wanted to hit you, he'd hit you with 97 compared to 77 being floated up there.
This whole situation's just stupid.
Well, and then Gausman gets tossed, and then Adam Jones thinks he walks, and then the umpire calls a pitch he hadn't called all day. And then the next thing you know, Adam Jones swings through a pitch, and then he's mad, and then the umpire tosses him as soon as he turns around. The Orioles didn't even stand a chance in that game. It seems like the Orioles were getting the brunt of all the punishment when honestly, it all started with really Boston retaliating and not even being able to retaliate. Because Manny Machado is like, fine, just hit me then, but don't keep trying to throw at me if you miss me the first, like you either hit me that one time, you maybe get a second attempt at it. Don't continually try to throw at me and then not be able to hit me. Either get better pitchers or just end it right there.
That's the problem, too. That sentiment right there. Why do they have to hit him in the first place?
Well, because they're the ones who are choosing to hit him and are acting all butthurt about everything.
Oh, I know. Just stop it.
Well,
stupid.
I agree with you on that. Like, I mean, I understand some retaliation against people, but it's just ridiculous. I mean, if you have a pitcher who can't hit a guy, then don't keep trying to hit somebody. That's just... And the whole fact that Chris Sale isn't getting suspended for that is just... It's just egregious.
And Rob Manfred has said before that he wants to stop this.
Well,
this is a great opportunity.
He needs to suspend Chris Sale, John Farrell, Eduardo Rodriguez, Dustin Pedroia, and Manny Machado if you want to end it all.
Yes.
Just suspend all of them.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Every single person who's been involved in this, suspend them. I want this... It's just stupid. This is the dumbest part about baseball. Yeah, baseball is slow and can be kind of boring. But it's like children. It's just irritating.
Well, no, it's like 60-year-old men like John Farrell acting like children. And I mean, honestly...
But the players can stop it.
If you're like a first-year player and your manager is telling you, hey, you need to go out and bean this guy...
But there's veterans doing it too. Chris Sale isn't...
Well, Chris Sale's a whole different animal.
Manny Machado. All of these guys are veterans, and they can stand up and say, no, this is
Well, Manny Machado
stupid.
is standing up and saying it's like, this is really stupid, but if you're going to hit me, just hit me already. Like, you have to give Machado credit on that.
But this whole situation where guys are getting hit with baseballs... Because,
like...
It's just... And you can't show... And the other part of this is the whole you can't show any emotion.
Well, that's all Chris Sale on that.
Stupid.
Chris Sale is like one of the proponents of that thing. I mean, he's the one who was literally in the clubhouse cutting up a jersey he didn't like because it was like a retro day, and got suspended. That's one of the reasons why he's not on the White Sox anymore.
All this little whiny baby crap in baseball needs to stop. And Rob Manfred, if he really cares, to me it seems obvious that Rob Manfred really doesn't care about this. He was just showing face.
I think he kind of was just showing face because they did end up suspending Matt Barnes for 4 games when he egregiously tried to throw at Manny Machado's head, and then they'd have Eduardo Rodriguez trying to throw at his head. And for one, if you're going to hit somebody in the back. You don't go at somebody's head that could end their career.
Just don't throw at somebody.
But I mean, you have to
understand.
See, I just if it's gonna happen, hit somebody in the back or something. I mean, they're trying to injure Machado.
I'm just trying to put myself in this situation where I do something, I'm super excited about it, I celebrate, and then someone's going to throw a ball at me and potentially injure me? That doesn't make any sense.
And the whole reason is, they think he hurt Pedroia intentionally or something. Because this goes way back anyway, because Boston and Baltimore don't like each other. But they think he intentionally injured Pedroia when Pedroia was blocking second base and got slid into on a leg he had surgically repaired.
Anyone who knows baseball knows Machado wasn't trying to hurt him, and it's stupid. It's part of the reason why baseball's stupid.
See, I thought you'd stand up for your Red Sox here, you Red Sox fan over there.
I don't care about any team anymore. I used to like the Red Sox, but I would never call myself a fan of any MLB team because I barely watch baseball. So
hey, this got you to focus on baseball, though.
I know of a situation in baseball that happened because of this story. Yeah, you're correct.
Exactly. And they just need to do something about it because otherwise it's just going to keep stewing over and over because,
until eventually they have a bench clearing brawl and then everyone will be happy again.
I mean, it was about to get to that point, and they're playing in Baltimore in a couple weeks. So, and then you're going to see how Baltimore is going to react to everything. And then, you have the whole thing intermittently as well with, Adam Jones. It's a very dramatic week.
So we are going to get into the race thing here, buddy?
Well, I didn't know if we're going to get too far into it.
I'm happy to go if you want to.
We can talk, more about it, but it's Adam Jones had something thrown at him and got called, the N-word by some fans in Boston. And then you also heard some other players coming out, like CC Sabathia, saying, yeah, you just come to expect it whenever you pitch there,
And
which he's
to be
pitched
fair,
a lot of games there.
David Price,
Yeah.
who's a player on the Red Sox,
He
says
would
that
know
it's
about
a problem.
No, he would
Like-
know about it all the years playing against the Red Sox.
If you're someone doing that in a stadium, you're a piece of human garbage, and I hope you fall off the edge of the wall and break your neck and die.
Well, they have a high wall in Boston.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Just go head first. Look, it's just you're being stupid. It's a sign that there are still hints of racism and not being considerate and just BS, and people are stupid, and I hate everybody.
Well, and then there's all the stuff coming out. Like, even on the way here, I was listening to some reporter who's from Boston and is based out of Boston talking about how, the people who are saying, oh, this is just, one fan or whatever, like, no, they've heard it quite a few times at
There have
Fenway
been
Park.
dozens of people coming out and saying that.
Yeah.
And this isn't a bash Boston moment. Boston appears to be a concentrated part of this discussion.
It's all Belichick's fault.
Because they're having lots of these sort of issues. But I mean, it's everywhere, man. People are stupid.
No, it really is. It's just, as this guy put it, there's issues everywhere, but they're different issues. Where this is kind of just what the issue is in Boston. Because, like, New York has issues along the same lines, but it's different issues kind of thing. So, I think it was Howard Bryant who said it. He's an ESPN reporter. It was a very, very good interview. I hadn't really heard of him before then, but, it was a very good interview.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah, give him a shout-out, because it was great. It was on the Trifecta, which is a show I usually don't listen to.
He was a baseball reporter that didn't get laid off?
I don't think he's a baseball reporter. I think he's just a reporter.
Oh.
But yeah, he's a reporter that didn't get laid off, that I'd never heard of.
Good on him.
Good on him, yeah, for real.
Next big name at ESPN.
Howard Bryant. That's right.
Book it.
Book it. Anyway, I guess we can go back into more less serious and more fun discussions where we're probably going to get mad at each other. What about those NBA playoffs over there?
It's over.
Yeah, the Cavs are going to win it all.
Call it now. I mean, no, they're not.
That's what you think.
The finals are over.
No, they're not.
Or not the finals are over. The finals are set.
Okay, the finals. Okay.
The Cavs are about to sweep the Raptors. The Warriors are probably going to sweep the Jazz. We'll see after tonight. Just timestamp this video. Or this video. This
this video,
this recording.
Sorry if the video feed isn't coming through. We're having technical difficulties, and we're going to work on it.
No one wants to see our faces.
I've been told I have the face for radio, so I think they'd want to see it, right?
I think
that's what that means.
I think that's an insult.
That's what that means, though, right? Pretty face.
Anyway, yeah, the Cavs are going to sweep the Raptors. The Warriors are, at worst, going to probably win in 5 against the Jazz. And then, I mean, the Wizards Celtics is a good series.
That's a very good series. That's getting heated too.
It is. Except Kelly Olynyk just got suspended, so now the Wizards have one person on the bench instead of 2.
Well, Kelly Olynyk, and did Olynyk get suspended or just Oubre?
What did I say?
You said Olynyk.
Oh, I meant Oubre.
It was Oubre versus Olynyk.
My bad.
Yeah.
I meant Oubre. I got confused by the Kellys. Olynyk did not get suspended. Oubre did. He didn't deserve to get suspended.
Whatever. I don't like Kelly Olynyk.
What are you talking about? Mad at a hard screen?
I'm mad because he's got great man bun, and I wish I had it.
Great hair.
He's got great hair. I signed him in 2K the other day. He's very affordable.
That's so surprising. So that series, Boston might go up 3-1, but it doesn't. See, this is the problem.
I think that's going 7 games regardless.
Out of the 4 series we have right now, we have 2 that are probably going to go 7 games, and it doesn't matter because it's so clear who the 2 best teams are. It doesn't.
Yeah, the Rockets and the Warriors.
Oh my god! Can you just have a discussion without being stupid, please?
That's not what we do here.
The Warriors are so clearly better than the Spurs or the Rockets, and the Cavs are so clearly better than the Celtics or the Wizards that it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's your turn to have
Do you,
Lucy now.
do you have anything to add? Or are you just going to stand there and not say anything?
So it's just like you whenever I talk baseball.
I was pretty involved today.
Well,
I
in
think.
this one, yes. That's if I'm doing just straight up baseball analysis.
Oh, yeah, that's all you.
But no, I kind of agree with you. I mean, we all think it's going to be Warriors and Cavs. I'm not as set in stone as you are, but it's like a 90% thing that it's going to be Warriors and Cavs.
Someone could take the Warriors?
Rockets.
Wrong.
See, you just don't know. I mean, like there's still stuff to be decided, but if any team could potentially take the Warriors or something, it'd be the Rockets.
I think the Spurs have shown everybody how to defend the Rockets, which is you clog the lane and you guard the three-point shooters and just let them take mid-range jumpers because they're instructed not to take mid-range jumpers.
Yes.
So they just try and drive the lane and end up getting clogged in traffic. It happened all night in Game 3 where they'd kick it out to a three-point shooter. He'd be covered. He'd step inside. The mid-range jumper's there, but instead he drives the basketball, and there's LaMarcus Aldridge and Pau Gasol in the paint just waiting for him. And it's a tough shot.
That's all Popovich right there. Well, majority Popovich.
It's a great defensive strategy. They're going to have to take mid-range jumpers. And if they do, then it'll open up the lane a little bit, and maybe it'll be a series again. We'll see.
We'll see. Exactly. It's just, I don't know. I just think the loss of Tony Parker really kind of dampens the Spurs. I mean, I know they seem to be playing better without him.
They started a rookie.
Was it Cinnamons? DeJounte Murray?
Yes. And he was pretty good.
No, he was really good at Washington.
He was pretty. He played well. He started. He didn't finish. They had Patty Mills in at the end, but he played well. He probably played like 20 minutes.
Well, they kind of, I think, drafted him to be the heir apparent to Tony Parker anyway.
Yeah, he was good. And for the first time, LaMarcus Aldridge played like he was in Toronto again. Or Portland again. Jesus Christ. My bad.
Think they're the same team there, Bradley?
I mean, they do feel like,
very
even
similar.
Right now.
They feel
actually,
so
I wanted to ask you this while we're here.
Okay.
I was thinking about this randomly. Who's better, DeMar DeRozan or CJ Miles?
Do you mean CJ McCollum?
Oh my God.
CJ Miles is on the Pacers. He's the guy that Paul George just lit up because he took the last shot. Bradley, do you know anything? Do you know anything?
You knew who I was talking about, though.
Yeah, CJ
McCollum, yes.
I think he's better than DeMar DeRozan. CJ McCollum more fits today's NBA because the big knock on DeRozan, he's a shooting guard that doesn't have a consistent three-point shot.
Every year his three gets better, though.
It does get better, and I really like DeMar DeRozan, but if I had to pick one...
right now he's leading the offense. He
is. I really like DeMar DeRozan. He's improved, but if I had to pick between the two, I would go CJ McCollum.
Fair enough. Now that I've completely sidestepped, what were we talking about?
The NBA playoffs and the Rockets and the Spurs and DeJounte Murray and...
LaMarcus Aldridge played like he was back in Portland, and Pau Gasol had a really good game, and they won. They pretty handedly. Kawhi's Kawhi. I think the key for that team right now is LaMarcus Aldridge, though.
It really is, and that's what they signed him to be the second star, and he just hasn't really...
They signed him to be the next Tim Duncan.
Honestly, they signed him to be the premier star, and then it's just Kawhi kind of developed into what he did. I mean, Kawhi was good.
Or at least to be hand in hand with Kawhi, to be part of the next big two.
And this season and even last season, it more seemed to be
just
Kawhi and then like LaMarcus Aldridge. Man, if he could figure it out and get back to how he was in Portland, then this team would be really, really good.
But I mean, before Game 3, Pau Gasol has been outplaying him in these playoffs.
Absolutely.
And Pau Gasol's like 37. LaMarcus should not be being outplayed by a 37-year-old, even if he's a future Hall of Famer.
I mean, I guess part of it could be the heart issue he had to deal with, but I mean, he seemed to be cleared from that. It's just, it seems like LaMarcus has just struggled to adjust to San Antonio or something.
Which is really weird surprised. Because, I mean, he's playing essentially the same role he played in Portland, except with a less ISO, more team-centric basketball. I don't know. He was actually hitting his shots last night, so we'll see if that continues or if he's going to keep being crappy.
So, if you... Whoa. Trying to square up, Lucy? Our intern is really being aggressive right now. Anyway, so we're going to talk about a team that has since been eliminated from the playoffs, and this is touching to me. Bradley has finally seen the light. He's on my side. I'm going to need a moment, guys. Just tears of joy.
CP3's overrated.
There it is. There it is. Woo! Doesn't
better?
It feel good? No, doesn't it feel good?
I mean, look, CP3 is one of the most consistent, reliable players we've ever seen in this league. He is a future Hall of Famer.
No arguments here.
He is not an all-time great. He's not in the conversation with Magic and who else would you put up there? Isaiah Thomas. I don't know. Who else would you put in that conversation? The top tier point guards.
It's a good discussion.
I mean,
I'm trying to think right now. I'm drawing a blank right now.
I would put him in the Stockton tier, which is one step below.
And then I put him below Stockton, honestly, because at least Stockton, he's the all-time assist leader,
Well, CP3 might get close. Probably not, because Stockton played, 20 years?
Yeah, he played 20 years.
So that helps.
He's a really good player, but yeah, I know it's like, we were talking about this before. I mean,
they're in the same group. If you were grouping point guards, I don't know, who else would you put in that group, that top tier? Because Magic's the greatest point guard to ever play. Isaiah Thomas, old Isaiah Thomas, obviously, not new Isaiah Thomas.
Even though new Isaiah Thomas, jury's still out. He may get there.
He's not going to be there.
He's probably not going to be there.
He's great.
I don't know, because
maybe Allen Iverson, but Allen
I guess
Iverson,
you'd have to say AI.
He's probably in the group with CP3 and Stockton, in my opinion.
I mean, he had all the talent level to be in the other group. It's just he didn't. I always, even though they played for the same team, I always look at Melo and AI as like the same guy. Do you agree with that?
No, and only because AI had some of the best handles we've ever seen.
Well, I just meant like style of player, all the talent in the world, but just didn't seem to do anything with it.
An ISO offensive player that doesn't care about playing defense. Yeah.
Yes.
James Harden. Absolutely.
And ended up not winning anything.
And James Harden's actually changed that a bit this year, but before this season, James Harden would be in that group too.
Would be in that group as well.
Give me that squeaker. Give me that. No, don't knock my mic over.
Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties.
My dog keeps getting squeaker toys. She's going to go find another one right now.
Gosh, Bradley. Control the intern. Anyway, but back to the Clippers. You're finally on my side that this is one of the most talented teams in the league that just never does anything.
Well, and here's the thing about calling it one of the most talented teams in the league, too. I think the talent level on that team's been overrated. Because the assumption has always been CP3 is one of the 3 best point guards of all time. I think that's now false.
Thank you.
The assumption has been that Blake Griffin is a top 10 player in the league. And that I don't think was ever true. It may have been true for one season.
Because he finished 3rd in MVP that year.
Well, and he's been first team All-NBA and second team All-NBA several times.
I think it's mainly because they have such great highlights and everything, and you see them everywhere. Like, I mean, look at how many commercials Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan are in, and then, not as much anymore, but Blake Griffin was in a few years ago. Yeah, I mean, they were everywhere.
And so we'll just take this in order of players generally considered best to worst. We went through CP3 and Blake Griffin. DeAndre Jordan's overrated. He is a good rebounder. He's a decent shot blocker, but he's not athletic enough to move around the way you would expect him to. Watching him these playoffs was very underwhelming. Plus, he doesn't fit today's NBA. They should have just let him walk.
You're on my side.
Or if you weren't going to do that, trade him. Because I'm sure there are people that still believe in old days of basketball that would want him. But but he's just not athletic enough to play in today's league.
Not in that conference for sure. Not when you have to go up against Houston and Golden State.
Next up would probably be Jamal Crawford, who
he's a really good 6-man.
But is he? And
not as much anymore.
This is something that I've been thinking about too. How good is Jamal Crawford? Because you'll see Jamal Crawford's the guy that has irrational confidence, right? He's one of these guys, sort of like Dion Waiters, that think the ball's always going in. I can always get it in the hole. Let's go. Like
the J.R. Smith type, yeah.
But so he'll try and take over games. And how many times does it actually work?
Well, I mean, at this point, he's on up there. He's like 36.
But even in past seasons, when the Clippers were expected to make their deep runs,
and it was always Jamal Crawford taking the big shot because, Chris Paul was never taking it.
And how often was he actually making it? He talks this huge game that makes you feel like he's better than he actually is, in my opinion.
I think that's just the entire Clippers team.
I would agree with that.
Just they have this facade of we're one of the best teams in the NBA, and it's in all actuality they're all very, very talented people, but do they all work together?
And then you have JJ Redick, who's a great specialist player, but
he's going to get paid.
He shouldn't be a starter on a championship team, and if he is, he should be the worst starter.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It'd be like if
Kyle Korver started for the Cavs.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, he is Kyle Korver
for the Cavs. He's the same guy.
Except a little bit worse defensively. Kyle Korver is actually a pretty good defender.
Thank you.
I've seen more of Kyle Korver now that he's been on the Cavs, and he's a pretty good defender.
See? Wow, you know how great today is for me? Because of our arguments when Kyle Korver got traded to the Cavs, all he does is shoot threes, doesn't play any defense or anything, and now you're like...
He's not an amazing defender.
No, he's not, but he can play a decent enough defense.
He's good enough to hold it down.
Exactly, and that's what you want.
He's like Steph Curry. Good enough to hold it down.
He's an elite 3-point scorer, and he's good enough to hold it down. That's what you want.
He might as well be Steph Curry without the handles.
Yeah, well, I'll take it, because Kyle Korver...
a great player. And he's not as good off the dribble, obviously, but Steph Curry's the greatest off the dribble shooter of all time. So, I mean, you're not going to argue with me on that one, are you?
No.
Okay.
I mean, Steph's great.
We can argue about catch and shooter of all time, him versus Ray Allen or Reggie Miller, but off the dribble, there's no other. Anyway, who's left on that team? Austin Rivers is finally coming into his own. But
it took his dad giving him all those minutes.
He wasn't that good previous years,
really.
And I don't think he's a very good point guard. He's a good 2-guard. He's not a great distributor of the ball.
He fits almost that really small ball, small forward, kind of like that Evan Turner kind of guy, where he plays like point guard and small forward.
But watching him, these playoffs, he'd get the ball and he'd turn into Kobe. And not in a good way. Old Kobe.
Well, that was his knock at Duke. And that's why a lot of people were kind of hesitant on drafting him. But then, I think they were still the Hornets at the time. The New Orleans Hornets reached and took him.
And he's a talented player, but he'll get the ball and it won't go anywhere. And he'll dribble, and he'll take a bad shot, and it'll miss. And that'll be the end of that possession. You can't do that in today's basketball. You have to have good possessions and good shots each time you go down the floor because people are just scoring too many points.
And honestly, if he was the premier piece in a package to get Melo, then I don't know why they wouldn't have made that trade.
But how good would that team have been with Melo?
At least it would have been something different.
You need
right?
another person that the ball goes to and it stops. That's not what that team needs.
Well, at least he can score, though.
Plus, if you're sending a package for Melo, the thing that team most desperately needs is depth.
It's depth, yeah.
You cannot give 2 for 1.
Well, see, that's the thing, though, because the rumored package was not even any starter. It was going to be like Austin Rivers, Jamal Crawford, and a couple picks or something.
That's horrible. You're taking 2 of your highest minute depth players off. Like if you were going to flip Blake Griffin for Melo.
What the thing would have been is then they would have just used the buyout market like what the Cavs did because a lot of people would have...
Get a bunch of garbage players?
You calling Andrew Bogut and Darren Williams garbage?
Well, okay, I mean,
Terrence
Andrew Bogut
Jones?
is now.
I mean, there were some good players on the
Broke his
buyout
leg.
market.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. But I mean, if I'm understanding correctly, these players are choosing where they want to go play.
Right, and some of them
so they all either pick the Cavs or the Warriors or the Spurs.
Something like that. But there were a lot of people. I'm just saying there were like other creative ways because the Cavs, they knew they couldn't take on a lot of salary and they didn't really want to trade anybody out of their actual rotation, so they picked up like Derek Williams, from the Heat when he got cut, and then he's fit in quite well there. So they just have to do something like that, signing guys to the minimum for the rest of the season, and they'd be able to make it work because there are
made
still
great moves.
Exactly, because I mean, there's still people. There's people out there that want to play with Chris Paul, with Melo, DeAndre, and Blake. There'd be people out there who want to play with them. I mean, that's why Mo Spates signed there. I mean, he wanted to play with them.
I mean, Mo Spates is an idiot. No, Mo Spates wanted the money. If that boy wanted to win more rings, he would have stayed exactly where he was.
I mean, because he's not making that much, but he thought, at least I have a chance at sort of being good. So he picked LA.
He'd be the backup center. JaVale McGee would have never turned into what he's become because Mo Spates would have been the backup center. He got a ton of minutes last year.
Oh, Mo Spates? Yeah. Absolutely, because he's a center that can shoot threes.
So JaVale McGee probably would have never turned into this, like... JaVale McGee right now is what DeAndre Jordan would be if he played on the Warriors and was a tiny bit more athletic. That's JaVale McGee right now.
Because, I mean, that's the thing...
And only played like 15 to 20 minutes a game, so his legs were always fresh.
Exactly, because that's what you have to do with JaVale McGee, because we've seen JaVale McGee fizzle out when he'd be a focus of an offense or would be a starter and getting starters minutes.
Yeah.
Because he's had multiple opportunities.
The rotation they have at center, what they've cobbled together in Golden State is quite impressive, because Zaza's a pretty good... Zaza is Bogut, but a little worse defensively. So you have the center that can help facilitate the offense. And then when the second unit comes in, you bring out the athletic Lob City type center who has become the most efficient player in these playoffs, which is crazy.
It's just crazy. Nobody would have thought that would happen. But
well, because he's not that good. He's lucked into this situation where he really looks incredible, but all he's doing is catching lobs and dunking it and then blocks.
He's lucked into this situation because he's pretty good friends with Draymond Green. And they're like, let's just take a flyer on him. And it worked out.
Well, they needed minimum centers.
Because,
minimum cost centers.
I don't remember what the stats were, but he basically didn't even play in the league last year, JaVale McGee.
Yeah. And also, if you wanted proof that the old way of playing basketball is dead, look at the Warriors, the best team in the league, and they have two aggressively mediocre centers, and they're paying everybody else. And they knew they could get by with not having centers, with not paying Bogut and Festus Ezeli and Mo Spates, and let all three of their centers walk. Brought in two new cheap ones, and they've been just as good. If that's not a sign that the old inside-out style of basketball is dead, I don't know what is.
No, I'm with you on that, but yeah, because I know Zaza, he took kind of a pay cut to go there. Like they made a conscious decision, like him and David West. I mean, David West, he's just trying to get a ring right now.
Trying to catch a ring so hard.
Hard.
He's probably going to get it. And if somehow the Warriors lose this year, he'll go on the Cavs
He'll
next
be
year.
on the Cavs next season. You can book it. He'll be on the Cleveland Cavaliers next year.
And then next year the Spurs will win.
He did the Spurs minimum deal for nothing to kind of come off the bench. Didn't work out with the Spurs.
If you don't remember, when he signed that deal, he opted out of like big money in Indiana.
Yeah. He had other offers.
Like $15 million that he left on the table to come sign veteran minimum to play for the Spurs because he's chasing a ring so hard. And I don't blame him.
He just wants to get a ring and just get out of the league. That's what it looks like to me.
He's old.
Yeah, he's 37.
And he's noticeably getting worse every year.
Well, yeah, I think he knew that was coming, but
because he's not playing that well right now with the Warriors. He's fine.
He also doesn't fit what they do either.
No, not at all.
He's just a veteran presence that, hey, people liked him, so they brought him on kind of thing, and he's super cheap. Like,
good in the locker room.
Exactly.
Not that team really needs help in the locker room, but...
But, I mean, you might as well have him. I mean, yeah. Anyway, so let's move on
That
before
was
we
a
wrap
good
up.
conversation
It
about
was-
Chris Paul.
We touched on Chris Paul for like 2 seconds, but I was just so excited
We
you
always
finally
do
seen the
this,
error
man.
of your ways.
We're about to do it if we're going into the subject I think we're going into.
Well, we're definitely going into Jay Cutler.
Where we're just going to go off on a tangent. I don't know where we're going to go yet, but I know we're going to get there.
But that's why you listen to the show, because you never know where we're going to go.
Book it.
Book it. Anyway, so Jay Cutler has decided to step away from his playing career and come to the booth with Fox Sports. Personally, I don't know how you feel about it, but I happen to like this move. I think he's going to be great on TV because, as I heard, shout out to Michael Wilbon, he's very, very engaging and smart and funny
Which
when he wants to be.
Is shocking.
The
Because
thing is,
if someone who's like Michael Wilbon's an opinion that you trust, he's a legend.
And also, he's Chicago everything, so he would know Jay Cutler.
The fact that Jay Cutler has personality was mind blowing to me, because on the field he's worse than Eli in just being this stone faced, no emotion type player.
Cause see, like Eli, he'll show emotion, but it's usually like upset emotion, just like the rolling of the eyes.
Jay
and
Cutler
everything.
won't even do that. He won't even look upset. He just looks indifferent about everything. So, which has led people to say he doesn't care. Now, so I trust Michael Wilbon on that, obviously. So maybe he will do a good job. He's getting the number 2 job, and he's going to be in the booth that John Lynch was in.
John Lynch.
Do we know who the third person in that booth is going to be? Because they said it's going to be a 3-person booth.
I have not heard who the third person's going to be.
Just
Either I just
curious.
haven't seen it or they haven't announced it yet.
So, and that seems obviously because if Jay Cutler needed to go back to the NFL, they could just do it.
Right. He must have an opt-out in there.
I don't know about you. I'm shocked he didn't get an offer.
Honestly, from what we'd heard from Jay Cutler, he had been calling the Texans, like himself.
And they just wouldn't respond.
And they wouldn't respond to his calls. He'd get like sent to somebody in like HR or something, as if he was just applying for a marketing job.
Well, and
or
now
something.
if I was the Texans, I wouldn't call because you have Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. But like, beginning of the offseason, you wouldn't like take a flyer on
like,
Jay
the
Cutler?
Jets don't want to take a flyer on him. There's as a bridge quarterback. I mean,
Cleveland as a bridge quarterback.
Yeah, they're all going to get hurt anyway. Might as well
I mean,
bring
you
another
might as
body
well.
in, just as a guy to help mentor the younger guys, because he's a good quarterback. He's not great. He's not going to win you a Super Bowl,
No,
but he's been good in his career, and he's been in the league.
he's shown flashes of
And
brilliance.
Being
Honestly,
in the league, just having that experience is valuable for a team as young as someone like Cleveland. Like Cleveland has, other than Joe Thomas, do they have any veterans left? Joe Hayden, maybe.
Joe Hayden. I think they got rid of Carlos Dansby. I think he left, but they have
So,
a few guys.
I understand the whole Kaepernick thing. We don't have to get back into that. We
Yeah.
talked about that before. Jay Cutler not getting a
But-
deal?
See, that just shows how tough it is in the quarterback market these days. Because if like Jay Cutler,
Especially if
Romo,
you refuse to be a backup, which
Right.
I'm sure if Jay Cutler was willing to be a backup, he'd be getting offers because he'd be the best backup
mean,
quarterback in the league.
maybe it's just it seemed like a lot of people kind of just were like Jay Cutler, no thanks, more headache than he's worth.
Well, but here's the thing. Like, Colin Kaepernick as a backup, there's some difficulty there. Tim Tebow as a backup, there's some difficulty there. If you bring in Jay Cutler to be your backup, you're not going to hear the fans saying, "We want Cutler." That's not going to
Jets
happen.
fans would.
That's not. Well, he would be the starter for the Jets opening week, I would assume, because they have nobody.
Well, and another guy you have to think of, RG3 hasn't gotten any calls. It doesn't seem like.
Well, I think
His is more
he got his chance last year and he failed miserably.
because of the injuries and everything.
And
too,
but when he was
yeah.
healthy, he sucked.
He played like one game last year.
When he was
Bradley.
healthy, he sucked. And
I'm just saying, there's like a lot of big name quarterbacks that are just nowhere.
plus RG3's another guy where you couldn't bring him in as a backup
Because fans would want
fans
RG3.
will chant for him the second your team starts doing poorly. That's what I mean. It has to be that Jay Cutler didn't want to be a backup, and I don't blame him. You've been a starter your whole life. You don't want to be a backup as a quarterback. They have a lot of pride and arrogance about them. But if any of the big name free agent quarterbacks were going to be a backup, it could be Jay Cutler because no one's going to chant for him to be the starter.
I'd chant for Cutler.
I wouldn't. He's mediocre.
Really? I like Jay Cutler.
He's
though.
got a cannon. I love his arm.
That's why I like Jay
Well,
Cutler.
he's got one of the best arms in the league, but he's obviously not fit to lead a team and succeed.
I guess not, but we will see because I could see the potential of him getting a call mid-season when somebody's quarterback goes down. I mean, look at 2 years ago. Well, not 2 years ago, excuse me. Like 3 years ago when the Rams were calling Favre.
I bet they're going to call Romo first.
You think so?
Who would you rather have right now, Romo or Cutler? If you say Cutler, I'm going to come across this table and smack you across the face.
RG3.
Okay, that's it.
That's rude. You asked for an opinion, I gave you an opinion.
No, you joked about an opinion. That's not true at all.
Honestly, I'd probably go, but this is a discussion I actually heard on, I believe it was PTI. Who's had the more successful career? Who's had more playoff success in their career?
Those are two different questions. What you just asked are two different questions.
I meant playoff success.
Playoff success, if you just go by wins, it's
Cutler.
By like 1 win? Is it like 3 wins to 2 wins?
It's something like that. But
Cutler's never made a conference championship.
Yes, he has. That was the one he got hurt in when they were playing Caleb Haney. He made a conference championship with the Bears. That was the one that was kind of basically the end of Cutler's career when he injured his knee and had to leave the game, and then he was like riding the bike on the sidelines to try to get his knee loosened up.
Wasn't coming in, yeah.
Yeah.
You got to come in the game. Look, we obviously don't know how bad the knee was, but obviously if he was riding a bike, there was no structural damage.
It was like a legal thing though. Like there was a rule because since their backup quarterback was some like 40-something-year-old guy who hadn't like basically thrown a pass all year. So he came in and he was so terrible. That's when they went to Caleb Haney. But once you bring in your third string quarterback, there's something like before halftime, you can't bring your starter back in.
What?
That was a rule at the time because I remember them talking about it.
That.
Yeah, because I remember them talking about it because people were jumping on Cutler.
Then Cutler should have came in the game before they pulled out the backup.
Oh, they shouldn't have just pulled the backup. They should have just ran the football. They had Matt Forte there.
I have seen enough quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, play on one leg that I know it's possible if it's not broken.
Like, just compare everybody to Aaron Rodgers.
Well, you're in. We can go with other sports. We can go with Rondo playing with a dislocated elbow. You're in the conference.
Because Rondo's an all-time great.
You're in the conference championship. You're a quarterback, so you don't have to run around and stuff. You play.
Well, see,
unless
that's the
your
big
right
knock.
arm is broken and can't move, or your throwing arm is broken and can't move, you get in the game and you play.
Because I believe it was a torn MCL is what he had.
Then why was he on a bike?
He was trying to get back in there.
What kind of doctors do they have over there?
Apparently they weren't good ones.
Bike?
That's what. See, that was the thing.
Well,
but
if he had a torn MCL,
but that was the thing because it was Cutler's exterior. Because then after the game, he was just his usual self, where he's like, like where it doesn't seem like he cared about anything. And then he's on the sidelines. He's just all stoic over there, and everybody's like, Cutler doesn't care. All this stuff and everything. It's like, well, I mean, he kind of had a torn MCL, but.
So back to your original question. Objectively, I guess Jay Cutler has. Which one of them has the potential to be a Hall of Famer?
Romo. I mean, I would
Cutler's
rather
not getting in the Hall. At least Romo, there's a lot of people having the discussion.
I would pick Romo. It would just depend on the team. Because if it's a team like, would you put Romo on Cleveland?
Well,
would you put Romo on the Broncos with no O-line?
So your criteria is if you want a quarterback that you don't mind having them get hurt. Is that your criteria?
Well, let's think about it, though. Because if you're like, okay, we're bringing Romo in to lead us to a title, and you have a paper-thin O-line, he's not making it through.
So those are two different teams. Cleveland, obviously not. If you're going to bring in anybody...
Even though they have a good O-line now.
If you're Cleveland, you're not bringing in a guy to bring you to a title. You're bringing in a bridge quarterback.
Right.
Which Cutler would be fine. Romo might get hurt. But if you're the Broncos, you have a Super Bowl talented team other than the quarterback position.
Other than quarterback and O-line.
And O-line, yes. at that point, if both agree to do it, you got to roll the dice on Romo. Cutler's not taking you to a Super Bowl.
Well, Cutler wouldn't go back to Denver anyway after everything that happened there.
Regardless of
Yeah.
that, even just
otherwise, it'd be a good fit. Honestly,
not even worrying about that. Would it though?
He played well in Denver.
Is Cutler that much better at this point in his career than Trevor Siemian?
He can bomb it out to Demaryius Thomas. You have to give him the arm strength.
Yeah, but that's just one part of it. You have accuracy, you have durability, you have team leadership, you have everything. And former teammates of Jay Cutler, a lot of them have said he doesn't have the leadership skills, which is part of his problem.
Well, I think on like some team like that, you already have other guys. Because you think Trevor Siemian's really the leader in the locker room there? It's Von Miller.
They've said he's a big leader. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
They've said
that kind of surprises me. Because he's so young and everything.
Obviously, a football team, you have so many players, you're going to have different sects, and those sects are going to have their own leaders. Von Miller is absolutely the leader of the defense and probably a leader of the team, but you have to have guys on the offense step up too. And it's obviously not Demaryius Thomas doing that or C.J. Anderson.
It's probably like, Emmanuel Sanders or something.
Yes. But I remember when the whole quarterback controversy was happening last offseason, and players were coming out in support of Trevor Siemian and saying, yeah, this guy's got it. He's a leader. So
he seems really good. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I could see.
He's decent. If I had to pick right now between Cutler and Siemian, I'd take Siemian. Because Siemian has the chance to be your quarterback of the future. Cutler, you're doing what you did with Peyton Manning, but Cutler's way worse. I mean, Peyton Manning's Peyton Manning.
Cutler's a Hall of Famer.
No.
Anyway, moving on.
No.
I didn't say a Hall of Famer in what?
Rex Grossman has had more playoff success than Tony Romo and Jay Cutler. Is Rex Grossman a Hall of Famer?
He's a Hall of Famer at the University of Florida.
Oh my God. Are we done yet?
Yeah, let's get to Florida, man.
Okay.
Let's just end this atrocity.
It's time for everybody's favorite segment,
Florida Man!
Do not ruin my sound effect.
I was doing backup vocals.
I'm trying to make it seem like I just press a button and that happens. Okay, am I doing a good job at that?
No, because we're a live show. We don't have any of that.
Does it sound like the same every time, though? Florida Man!
For the most part.
Oh, thank you.
But it does sound like you're speaking it into a microphone.
All right, so I have not read you this headline yet. This is a fresh one. Are you ready for this?
It. Go for it.
I haven't read the article, too, so I hope this one's family-friendly.
Hopefully so. The other one wasn't.
Woman stabs boyfriend after he farts in her face during an argument.
There you go.
A drunken Florida woman stabbed her boyfriend with an 8-inch blade after he farted in her face during an argument. I won't say the names. They've been together for 6 years, and they were watching television in their Immokalee apartment last week. Do you know where that is? Immokalee.
How's it spelled?
Immokalee.
Immokalee.
Okay, you know where that is?
Yeah, I think it's in South Florida.
All right, thank you. She told the cops they were fighting about cash. No, he told the cops they were fighting about cash when she went in the kitchen and... Wait. No, I had it right the first time. Anyway, they were arguing. He went to the kitchen to get something, and while he was standing up, he farted in her face.
Oh my gosh. Does it say it was an accidental or he was trying to do it?
No, I think it was on purpose.
Okay.
So she confronted him. Oh, and he threw a knife at her, but he missed. So she picked it up.
He must be a Red Sox
fan. And threw
it
back and hit him in the stomach. Oh, she throwing knifed him. Oh, God. I think they're both alive, but yeah, she was arrested. Man, that's
the wedding announcement's going to come out next week.
Oh, my God. I love how he tried to, like, ninja star a knife at her and missed. She grabbed it, did the same thing, and hit him in the stomach.
That's a lot of,
Oh,
like,
God.
she is hating him at that moment, and then, of course, that's going to land.
Of course. Because if that misses, they probably cool off, everything's fine. But no, it lands, and now she's in jail.
I still say they're going to get married in, like, 2 weeks.
So that was this week's edition of Florida Man, except this time it was Florida Woman,
There we go, gender binary here.
Florida Person. Well, no, we don't want to be gender binary. You got confused on your terms there, bud.
I did get confused. My bad.
Florida Person.
My bad, guys. My bad.
All right. Have we gone on long enough?
Yeah, we're at like we're over an hour.
Man, the show flies by.
Yeah, it does.
We have so much more to talk about too.
And we didn't even bring in our guest host. That you don't know who he is yet.
Because we don't have a third microphone.
That's right. Fresh from the hardened streets of Gainesville, Florida.
Why are you introducing somebody that's never going to be on the show?
You never know. You never know.
Oh
we'll
God.
bring him on.
In this thing, wrap it.
This is the conclusion of episode 12 of the Rollout Show. The Rollout Show. Thanks for listening, guys. Be sure to hit us up on social media at The Rollout Show. And thanks for listening. And the podcast will be out soon. We'll see you next week for episode Lucky 13. We out. Rollout.